Hello again people, it's Dave here from Creative Guitar Lounge. Just a little thing I was working on recently that made me realise just once more how incredibly flexible the pentatonic, or as we know and love it, the blues scale can actually be. I was working on a little idea for a song and I wanted to give it a slightly sort of Highland Scottish traditional music kind of vibe. So I wanted to use a kind of one of the few things I know about bagpipe music is that it uses a drone note quite a lot, and that's quite a thing I quite like to do with a lot of guitar riffs and things. So I had this sort of idea in D, which kind of goes a little bit like this. I haven't done much with it, but it was just the seeds of an idea. Okay, so that's kind of the basis of my idea, and I thought, what kind of scales would you use to come up with some kind of lead lines or melody lines for that? And again, I'm thinking of sort of folk music, and particularly Scottish folk music. And as I played around, I started with a pentatonic scale, and since those are, that idea is in sort of D, really. The key of D, I thought, well, these tend to be sort of major sounding scales that are used, so I thought I'll just go for the blues scale against D, which is actually the relative major of the D blues scale, which actually is basically a blues scale in B. So you get a major sounding blues scale sound. Now traditionally with the blues scale, for blues and rock and pop music, we kind of are used to doing, kind of iconic bends and these kind of things that we sort of know and love, and they've become part of the kind of language. But actually, if you just use exactly the same scales but take a different approach to them, you get that kind of folk sort of sound. So without doing any of the sort of bends or trills or any of the sort of fancy stuff, if you play simple notes, you very quickly get that sort of folk sort of sound, and that is purely the major blues scale in the key of D. I'm not doing any other notes. I'm not using any of the sort of major scale notes or mixolydian of any of that stuff. You very easily could, but just sticking with the blues scales, you've got all this. And these little kind of folky sounding little melodies come to you really very easily when you just start experimenting. I'm just making these up as I go along. They're not difficult, they're not fancy in any way, they don't use any tips or tricks, but they just immediately give you that folky kind of vibe. So like everything I try and do here, I'm really just trying to give you some more nuts and bolts, some little ideas that you can take away and run with. And this is a very simple way of applying these pentatonic scales to all sorts of different styles of music that you may not have considered before. Might not be a direction you're interested in going. It's not something I do an awful lot of, but I do stuff in alternative tunings, and I do like to add those kind of vibes to my music when I feel like it. My partner and I are working on some live stuff at the moment, which presents its own challenges because we haven't played live for a long time. We've done a lot of recording, which is a whole different animal. But I will share those videos on the channel here when we've done them. It's just us, it's an acoustic guitar and an electric guitar and one vocal, which is my partner, so pretty raw. But we're just finding it tough to find enough time to practice. So we're kind of getting everything set up, which takes forever. Got a green screen set up in the living room here, and microphones and stands and effects and all of that stuff, just to get a really basic kind of sound. So by the time we do all that, we don't have an awful lot of time to actually go through the songs, but we're getting there. We should have 3, 4, 5 of those fairly soon, which I will share. But I just wanted to give you this little idea to go away and play with. I hope you find it useful. And as usual, if you do, please do like the video and leave me a little comment. It'd be nice to hear what you think about that and any of your own ideas, you know, conversation. And if you haven't subscribed to the channel, it'd be really helpful to me if you do. You can just hit the subscribe link and that'll be fantastic. Meantime, I'll see you in another video. Cheers for now.